Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Our focus tonight is Baltimore City turning the corner. Crime is down so far this year, but that comes after a year that saw Baltimore labeled the most dangerous big city in America. Our guest tonight is Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh. Madam Mayor, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the invite.
Let's start with crime. Unfortunately, it's what people think about when they think about Baltimore these days. What are the trends?
Well, we're trending downward in every category, and we actually started trending downward November the 1st and during the month of November. And, you know, when you're trending downward, you want to make sure that the trend is continuing. So we started trending downward November, December, January, and now February. So we've had 4 months of a downward trend in violence in every single category.
Now, a skeptic would say it's winter, everybody's inside, street crime is going to be down.
Well, we're down in comparison to last year too as well. So we're looking at month to month, you know, and year to date, and the period of time in which we are currently, you know, in. So we're comparing what we did in November of the year before to November of this year, of the previous year, and then we're looking at the months each, and then accumulating, and then again looking broadly. So we're trending downward, and so we expect to continue to trend downward. So we're down more than we were this time last year, and the same thing with more than we were the November before, the December before, the January before, the February before, and hopefully as we will continue to trend downward March, April, May, June, and the rest of the year.
So you're going to go out on a limb and forecast that we're not going to have 340 homicides this year?
I don't think that's going out on a limb when I think about all the strategies and things that we've put in place, that we're headed in the right direction. You have to remember, Baltimore is a city that did not have the technology. We were also a city that, when I took office, was losing 20 to 25 police officers a month, and we've stemmed that tide. We now have that down to about 12 to 14 officers a month. And so by the time I came into office, there were like 700 less police officers than the city was authorized to have. And so that created a real problem in our city. We currently have 1,900 officers in our city.
What's the authorized force?
The authorized force is 2,800.
Wow.
And so that's with about 300 to 400 folks who are on light or sick duty, and that is an unusual number. But what I can say, the good news is that there's no lack of individuals who want to be police officers in Baltimore City. And so this will be the first year we actually passed the attrition rate. So we have more people coming in to the police department than leaving. And I think the other issue that you have to consider is the fact that this was a department that lacked investment in technology. In 1997, for example, they started putting computers in police cars in Prince George's County and Montgomery County and other counties surrounding us and Sioux, but not in Baltimore City. So I think it was last year I asked the governor for $2 million to invest in putting computers in police cars, and we'll have those all completed by the end of March. And then Bloomberg Philanthropies gave me $5 million at my request to improve technology in our police department, gunshot detection, license plate readers, more CCTV cameras up and around the city, which has also contributed to us being able to catch criminals as well. So that is up and crime is down.
So, but you're still way below the force that you would like to have, and there's
absolutely.
This cloud that hangs over the police department after the corruption scandal, after the officers pleaded guilty, some were convicted recently, the gun task force, and people look at the police a little bit differently than they used to, I think.
Well, let me just say, I believe that the consent decree that we are under now, the 163-page report from the Department of Justice certainly outlined some of the problems that the city has and have with their police department, with our police department. And we were mandated to improve policing in Baltimore. And people said when I walked in the door in December, you need to sign the consent decree. Well, there wasn't a consent decree on my desk. We had to put it together. But we did in 60 days what some cities took 13 to 14 months to do, and that was craft a consent decree to help us bring back back the trust in our community, in our police officers, and to gain the kind of training that is necessary, the technology, as well as create a police force that is more responsive and more interactive with our community. And I think we're headed in that direction.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for Mayor Pugh, not just crime, anything happening in Baltimore, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. I want to ask you about this Baltimore Sun report just posted in the last hour or so about Johns Hopkins, the university and the medical center, requesting permission from the legislature to form their own police department.
Well, that's the only way. Well, that's the only way they can do it. You know, 44 states around the country have private police forces, and in Baltimore City, all of our state institutions have police forces that are armed. So that's not unusual. Harvard University was probably the first private institution to implement a police force way back in the 1960s. University of Pennsylvania has one of the largest police forces in the country, and so it's certainly not unusual for a university like Johns Hopkins. In fact, in my discussion with President Daniels, I said, you should look at what other cities are doing around the nation. You should have a armed police force. You know,
is it a sign that their businesses, in terms of the university getting applicants, the medical center getting out-of-town patients, that they're suffering because of the perception problem that the city has?
Well, I think you would have to say that to Pennsylvania, Boston, Harvard, and all the other institutions that already have that. We have it at our Coppin State University. We train police officers for other jurisdictions and for private forces throughout the state. So, I don't think it's unusual. I think it is probably a step in the right direction. It is what 44 other states' private institutions are already doing.
So you're supportive of the legislation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had that conversation with President Daniels and suggested that he should be looking in that direction.
Tell me about the decision to replace the police commissioner. Not the first time it's been done. You chose to go with an insider as the replacement instead of looking outside.
So I look at it differently. This is my first police commissioner that I get to hire. And, you put certain metrics in place, and there were certain things that were really important to get done immediately. And one of the things that Commissioner Davis had was experience in putting together consent decrees, and that was very important for the city of Baltimore, and we were able to do that. But when I look at what we're facing in our city in terms, at that particular point in time, the need to reduce crime, I had created this initiative that Harvard University is actually looking at currently, and said, we need to do something differently around violence reduction. And so I created this initiative. We call it the Violence Reduction Initiative, which is where we saw violence going down. And people asked me if I knew beforehand our now Commissioner D'Souza, and the answer is no. But I did meet him 4 months ago when I was putting together this initiative that had all of our commanders and my staff, department heads, in the same room, looking at what that kind of interaction would create in terms of response to our commanders. And what we found was that our commanders were saying that they were having a response from our agencies took 7 to 14 days. We got that down down to 1.5 to 2 days, and because of the interaction. And then I met Mr. D'Souza, who was a deputy commissioner at that time, and was offering all the time different ways and suggestions about how we could reduce violence in our city. And I saw him as someone who was creative, showed initiative, had an understanding of the police department and its needs, and I thought it was time that we made the change, because at that particular time I was still seeing too much violence in our city. And we're not satisfied now. We won't be satisfied until we see significant and continuous reduction in violence in our city.
Let's go to the phones. Leslie from Baltimore City. Leslie, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Oh, I just was calling to let the mayor know. To me, she's doing a beautiful job. And to me, a lot of the killing, it hadn't completely stopped, but it went down a lot. And I like how she's cleaning up the city policemen, how she's getting the crooked ones off the force. That makes us feel much better and can trust the policemen more now, because she got rid of the crooked ones. To me, it was like the young people was fighting to get the crooked ones off because nobody was listening to us, how they crooked they was and how they was placing drugs on people. But now as they see the mayor, Miss Pugh came in and she did what she said she was going to do, it put a lot of change and a lot of belief in the young people these days.
Leslie,
you don't see a lot of killing right now.
Thank you so much for the phone call. We appreciate it.
Let me also say thank you to Leslie, because that's what we want. We want our community to have more confidence in our police department, but more importantly, confidence in the leadership of our city. We recognize that we have many problems, but we also recognize that this is a great city with some great assets. And so we're focused on making sure that our communities are safe, that we are engaged, that people understand that we want to make our city the greatest city in America, and we believe we're headed in that direction. Thank you, Leslie.
Back to Baltimore City. This is Lois. Thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mayor. Good evening. I'm sorry. I'm kind of excited right now. My question to you is, what are you going to do about red line districts in the city? There has been reports of different corruption inside the city with police due to red line districts and everything. I wanted to know, just generally, what are you going to do about red line districts in Baltimore City?
Wait, Lois, what do you mean by red line districts?
The red line districts that are downtrodden, they are poor, they have little to no resources.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lois. I think I have an idea what he's talking about. I think that people get an opportunity more than some people do to see what our inner harbor looks like, and that's great. And we're rebuilding some neighborhoods and communities, but there are underserved communities in our city. When you think about the corridors of our city, like from North Avenue, from Hilton to Milton, Broadway, North and South, North Avenue, East and West, and neighborhoods that have been underdeveloped and underserved for decades. And so Park Heights area is another one of those areas where my focus is on how do we invest in those particular neighborhoods. And we're focused through our housing department, our housing community development areas, and then making sure that we create incentives for people to live in those neighborhoods like we have in other neighborhoods. And just reminding people that we have these kinds of initiatives that are focusing on repopulating these corridors, making sure that we provide incentives for the individuals to live in those communities, as well as for the development of those neighborhoods and communities. I tell people that, we have these conversations around poor neighborhoods, but what we don't talk about is the underinvestment in those neighborhoods, and that there are people who've lived in those neighborhoods for decades, who are not necessarily poor, but have been there, own their homes, and are waiting for the investment that they deserve in their neighborhoods and communities. And so you will see more investment by this administration in those communities, in those neighborhoods, and recognizing that we have some 14,000 boarded houses in those communities, and that we need to tear many of them down. We are part of the core program. We're tearing down some 1,000 of them before the end of the year. And as I've said to my department, that's not nearly enough. But we want to create jobs and opportunities by rehabbing some of those communities and creating a workforce that can help us to do that as well.
One of the things that is around the corner and is going to help in that regard is all the school construction. That I don't know the timetable, but I know it's a large number of schools getting replaced or rebuilt.
Yeah, so I was a state senator, and in my last few years, we brought back $1 billion to Baltimore City to build 23 new schools in Baltimore City. We just opened up 2 this year. Last year, we're opening up 2 more this year, and this is our 21st Century initiative. But the other issue that we have to deal with is the vacant buildings in some of the areas that we need to tear down schools. And so what I have is my planning department, my economic development department, my housing and community development department focused on how do we resolve the issues around those buildings that will become vacant. What will we create and put in their place? Whether that is going to be in another rec center, a housing program, or housing development, those things we have to focus on, because what we don't want to do is leave communities desolate and those buildings not repurposed.
Let's go back to the phones. Edna in Baltimore. Edna, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Pugh. My name is Edna Fleming, and I own property in Baltimore City, and I'm calling about an excessive water bill. I've sent repeated emails to Mr. Rudy Chow regarding my concerns, and I have not gotten any response directly from his department. And I'd like your opinion on what I should do moving forward.
Okay, so let me just tell her, first of all, she can call baltimorecity.gov or 410-396-3100 and ask for our chief of staff, and we'll get right on top of that. But let me
ask for the mayor's office.
Yes,
Okay.
and we'll take a close look at that, Edna. But let me just remind people that Rudy Chow did do what most cities ought to be doing and should do. We had to take out all of the old water meters and replace them with new water meters. We're under a federal mandate to fix our water system. Our piping system, as you well could see during the freeze, we had over 100 water main breaks just in 1 week. We had 80 schools that went offline because our water pipes are so old. And so the federal government has mandated that we fix them. And so one of the problems we have is, how do you go about the business of doing that? And so the only way that we can fix our water system is increasing our water bills. But what we don't want to do is price our water in such a way that it makes it difficult for people to pay their water bills. You know, there was a time where people's homes would get taken from water bills, and I've already said nobody's house can be taken for a water bill. But just like Edna talked about, you know, if you have an issue with your water bill, if you're not getting through to Mr. Chow, then get through to the mayor's office or the mayor's office of neighborhoods, and we will pay very close attention to that, because there are some programs to help people who are struggling with their water bills, including working with the Department of Social Services. So what we want to do is look at how do we restructure this in such a way that we're not fixing this system just on the backs of the people who live in our city. And you have to remember, we don't just supply the water for Baltimore City. Our customers are 1.8 million people who depend, and businesses that depend on our water supply, because we, in fact, Baltimore City owns the water supply for Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Carroll County, Harford County, Howard County. All of the surrounding jurisdictions depend on us for our water system. So that's why it's so important that we fix the water structure in our city.
I look forward to the Light City event that we've been
exciting.
running for a few years. It's just neat. I mean, it's a
so
cool
great.
thing. You wish it could be year-round. That's coming up in April.
April the 6th through the 22nd.
What does it mean for the city? And describe it for people who haven't seen it before.
First of all, over 500,000 people come to Baltimore to see Light City, and we expect those same crowds this year. But it's all kinds of light art, light fixtures, and I'm bringing 10 to 20 mayors to Baltimore City to talk about light and safety. So there'll be all kinds of art displays, and I'm asking BOPA, the Baltimore Office of Promotion and Arts, to put a climbing wall and light it up so that people can have fun. A lot of fun activities. Restaurants are engaged. I'm looking forward to Little Italy's restaurants doing some very unique things. I went by Gia's restaurant today just to see the beautiful lighting that's already out there already. So it's really a great art display. It's very inviting. Just a lot of activities around it. There are also labs around Light City talking about the different art structures and things that can be created and done with lighting. So April the 6th through 22nd. So we're inviting everybody to come down to the Inner Harbor area, but let me just remind you that it's also going to be in 12 different neighborhoods throughout the city, and so it should be a very exciting event.
Let's take a call from Prince George's County. This is Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to say to you, the host, that one of the primary and overarching impression that folks have of Baltimore does not have to do with the homicide level. Not for me and not for a lot of folks, but the corruption of the police has been a really sad testimony to the upholding of law and justice. I think it is demoralizing for people of faith, for people who are regular citizens trying to go about the business of working and doing business in any community, to see that those who have been charged with protecting the peace, protecting a community, are in fact responsible for causing so much evil and so much pain and suffering.
Elizabeth,
that is what people have problems with primarily, not the, I understand the homicides are terrible, and I think that they are also an outflow of that.
Okay, Elizabeth, thank you very much. We'll let the mayor talk about it, but just to set it up a little bit further, nobody was surprised in the Freddie Gray case that the Baltimore police force was a bare-knuckles, tough, sometimes brutal police department. The amount of corruption the towing scandal, this scandal, the overtime stuff has blown people away to the point where you don't know if a police officer is friend or foe.
Well, let me just say, Prince George's County also went through a consent decree some time ago, and so I know that Elizabeth is familiar with what corruption can do for any jurisdiction. Baltimore certainly is not the first city to go through this, but we also recognize that this Department of Justice report does not reflect just on 2015 or Freddie Gray. This report goes back 10 years of corruption and activity that occurred in the Baltimore Police Department. My responsibility as the mayor is to make sure that nothing like that happens again. And so rooting out corruption is very important, but also putting the right tools in place to make sure that you're squarely focused on ending corruption, and at the same time training officers in such a way that they respect the community and they respect the badge as well as the blue uniform. And that's what we're doing in Baltimore City, and I am excited about what our new commissioner has already offered. Just recently, they did a 2-day workshop with all of the command staff to talk about the importance of the badge, to talk about the importance of why they come to protect and serve, and their responsibilities as police officers. People want to trust the police, but the police have to act accordingly and respectful to the community. We don't only want that, we expect it. I expect it as the mayor of this city, and more importantly, I have vowed that nothing like this will happen under my watch as mayor of Baltimore City.
Question via Twitter. This writer wants to know why, after over a year, is there no money in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund? I don't know anything about it.
Well, first, let me just say we spend something like $1/3, $200 million on affordable housing in Baltimore City, and I just added another $10 million to affordable housing in Baltimore City. There are a great deal of programs, $30 million in a public housing project that we've already vied for, $8 million for another housing project in Baltimore City. 1/3 of all of Baltimore City's housing is subsidized.
Back to the phones. Baltimore City, this is Diana. Diana, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Mayor, I have a question in reference to the water bill, because I have a girlfriend who lives in Baltimore County. Her water bill is $19, but yet my water bill is like $100. Even though we're supplying water to them, why are they paying less than what we are paying?
Great question.
Also,
thank you very much, Diana.
So first of all of our water is metered, and everybody pays the same rate. There's no difference in the water bill that is being given in Baltimore County and Baltimore City. There's only one rate. We only have one rate. Now, what I ask people to do is that you can go online and monitor your own water usage, and you can moderate your water usage, or you can increase it, or you can decrease it. But it's up to each individual household how to utilize your water. We have one rate. We have gone from a quarterly water bill to a monthly water bill. And I think people have found it difficult to get used to, a monthly water bill as opposed to a quarterly water bill. And so I can say that we did increase our water bill cost. That was done before I became mayor, because we have to fix the pipe system in our city, which is old and antiquated. And as you well saw, over 100 water main breaks in just 1 week is more than any city can stand.
Let's go back to the phones. This is Bill from Baltimore. Bill, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My concern is we have too many boarded up houses and nothing is done. We keep calling the city to have them come out and close them up after the raid or raided by police officers looking for drugs.
Bill, thanks very much. So certainly you're getting rid of some of the vacant houses.
Yes, absolutely, and rehabbing others. Park Heights is a particular area that we're focused on, and as I said earlier, we're tearing down 1,000 in the next few months in Baltimore City. I can't answer for what wasn't done before I got here. I can only do what I'm supposed to do as the mayor of the city. We're very focused on redeveloping neighborhoods, recreating places where boarded houses exist, looking at houses next door where boarded up houses are, and making sure that we shore up those neighborhoods and communities. And I think people, as they watch us work, they'll see the change.
Let's spend a minute on your summer jobs program.
Yes.
It's cold, it's windy outside, but summer's going to be here. Kids need something to do. What are you working on?
16,500 young people have applied to work already this summer. Last year we put 8,900, and that was a real high number. It was higher than years previous. And I credit the business community and those who are providing jobs for our young people with providing them with great work experience. So when I asked young people to go online and apply, they have applied. So now it is up to us to continue to provide those opportunities for young people. So we're asking our companies and corporations, it's $1,600 per youth to put a child to work. So while I have the opportunity to ask out there, I'm asking every business, every company, every organization, every individual who can afford to contribute $1,600 for a young person to work to do so. But more importantly, we need help, because I've asked my agencies to join in this effort, because we want to make sure that every child who wants to work this summer gets to work. You know, this is the first year that we're making Baltimore City Community College free, so we're also preparing our young people who are graduating from high school to go into either higher education. This will be the first year on May the 9th that we'll have a jobs fair for our graduating seniors, because what I've said working with our CEO, we need to track every single child who leaves our school system. We want to know if they're going to work, if they're going to college, if they're going to the armed forces, or if they have a problem getting a job. We want to know that, because going to the streets of our corner is not an option.
Catherine Pugh is the mayor of Baltimore. 25 minutes flew by, didn't it?
It did fly by.
Hope you come back soon.
Thanks
for being here.
Thank
Really
you so much
appreciate
for
it.
this opportunity to share.
Join us Thursday at this time for Your Money and Business. We'll talk about the role of the Girl Scouts during the Me Too era, and we'll also look at a massive mountain cut in Western Maryland. Join us for that Thursday on MPT. For all of us here, thanks for watching Direct Connection, and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.